Hello and welcome to Global Morning, live from the nation's capital. Here is, of course, the new day another day 17th day of the month of October 2024. We're still counting the days and counting the times and counting the experience as well over the course of 2024. How have you fared? How is October really going? Recall just this month we've had to celebrate. Nigeria had 64. How the country economically, politically, socially we have advanced, and what has been the yardstick for some of these measurements has continued to be a concern of many Nigerians. And of course, we would not also forget the fact that the interactions on the issues of fuel hike is still on the front burner. A whole lot of stakeholders are actually having that conversation and knowing how far NNPC can begin to tackle a lot of these issues, because this is what really is driving the economic hardship in the country. There are a whole lot of stories, a whole lot of course, news developments that continue to make waves in the country. On the program this morning, we will highlight some of these issues and, of course, get to being a light in Kano State. It looks that there's already a crisis within the ruling party in Kano State. What is the cause of the disarray? What is the factors that are really determining all of this? It looks that godfatherism in Nigeria is not just what can work. We've seen crisis in Edo State, we've seen crisis in Rivers State, and now it looks that Kano State is tearing apart. The secretary to the state government has been suspended from the party. A whole lot of development in respect to Kano politics. On the program this morning, we'll light all of that, but I'm not going to be doing this alone this morning. I have my co-host Jonas. Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. You look great this morning.
Always representing the stage factors. Good morning, Queen Agaba.
Good morning.
It's
good to see you.
Good to see you also. Look at issues of the presidency is aware, and the vice presidency is also out of the country. It's also sparking a lot of concern and controversy that if the president is out of the country, the vice president ought to be around. But the presidency had brought out a statement yesterday, also citing instances that we've seen other presidents travel, and the vice president also have emergency to leave the country. And that other arms of government are working. The National Assembly are working. The House of Representatives are working. The Secretary to the Federal Government is also he's also working and trying to see how he can be. And the president is also receiving calls, of national importance, and also giving narrative on where to go. That even if the president, that the constitution does not provide that the president has to be physically always be present in the country, that can work anywhere as long as it's still remote. We're talking about remote work now. The president can work anywhere and still have to discharge his duties. But Nigerians are not even having that as to be the most important thing. I think what Nigerians are paying attention is the economic issue, Queen.
Yes, economic issue. But let me chip in my opinion. I think the president is out of the country for a vacation, for rest, and then the vice president is out for economic purpose as well, bilateral talks with other foreign nations. So it's not like he's out of the country for vacation. So he's also talks that borders on agriculture and relevant sectors in the economy that would help better our economy and give us growth. So that's justifiable as well. And like you rightly said, the Constitution does not necessarily state that the president always has to be physically present to govern Nigeria. Well, as regards what is happening and what the concerns of the people, it's valid. It's very valid, particularly because fuel price, pump price affects literally everything that we do. Once pump price goes up, and we've had instances over the past couple of weeks and months, we've had instances where the prices have been unregulated. This moment is this price, the next moment is is jumping from here to there. And so I understand the plight of Nigeria, because I also am a Nigerian, and I go through and I see what happens, how the cost of transportation, food, an item in the market has skyrocketed, is affecting, and how hunger is biting hard, and people cannot afford to feed. So with all of these meetings, travels here, economic meetings, we want to see it reflect, and we want to see it instantly. We don't want the prediction of World Bank that says Nigeria to take Nigeria 10 to 15 years before we begin to see tangible
and even the statistics of Nigerian bureaucracy is also NBS is also not reflecting what we have on ground. We've seen that inflation is getting better, but how about the reality on ground? People really having to get food at affordable rate and all of that. It's really a concern, but it looks like there's a way out of all of this. I mean, because as always, we should get hopeful that Nigeria will get out of all of this concern, and that's the reason federal government are up and doing in getting things done. But we always have to know what the stories have. I mean, today's story we really have for us this morning. So we'll go on a very quick break right away, and once we return from that break, we'll get to look at the papers and the headlines of the big stories so we can get the conversation starts from there. Do stay with us on the program. We'll be right back.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
The Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Our strong headlines on the front pages Thursday morning. Let's begin with the Nigerian Tribune. On the Nigerian Tribune, we really have a Jigawa petrol tanker explosion. Over 100 deaths, more than 50 in hospital. That's on page 16 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. And right after the story has it that Tinubu says negligent individuals will be held accountable. And Kuma leads federal government delegation to Niger town. Queen, that's a concern, Jiga, where people always want to take advantage of when you look at a tanker, explosions and all of that. People were trying to get fuel. I understand that the product is scarce, and we understand how it's not easy to get it. The product is one of the most expensive products we have now in commodity that was less before, and a whole lot of persons were trying to take advantage of the situation, but unfortunately they get to endanger their lives. We often see how some of these issues can be well managed away from that people shouldn't always at all time try to take advantage of the situations. But when you look at when you look at that, over 100 dead recorded in a very short instances, and then over 50 in a hospital in the course of that explosion, it's really, really worrisome. And our heart this morning really goes out to the family and the loved ones of the affected. And those are the hospitals we definitely wish them a quick recovery from the hospital. And that is on the that's a big story of the Nigerian Tribune. And Ekiti Assembly endorses Oyembanji for second term. That's on page 4, political concern right there from the Nigerian Tribune. Also, we have food prices may go higher in 2025 if farmers want. They get to find out what the farmers are really saying, what are the considerations and the projection for 2025. If things are not working, if things are not being solved, if we have to rely more on steel and petroleum to get some of our products from the farms get to move from one location to the other, it means that we're still going to be having food inflation. And if farmers are not going back to the farms in terms of tackling the insecurities from the farm, it means that we'll still have to get to buy more and more, and inflations and they're getting higher every day. And that's a warning from the farmers. That is on the page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. We also have reps wants reversal of costs of petrol and cooking gas. Reps want reversal of cost of petrol and cooking gas. Reacting to that story, because there are those that will ask, cooking gas has skyrocketed up to 1,500 in some of these distributors, and then we also have instances where issues of fuel. What are we reversing to? Are we reversing to 500, 600? What are the drastic steps taken? Away from just National Assembly coming out to speak, what are the factors on ground? Because if we go to NNPC will tell you these are the factors that has led to where we are today on the increase of the petrol. And our House of Representatives coming out to speak, to ask that it must be reversed. What are we reversing to? What have you done to solve the problems that NNPC are raising? And if NNPC are not able to do the job, what oversight function have you really, carried out from that on that particular sector? Understanding the fact that those are having a concern that there are corruption in the sector. What steps have you taken? Have we seen suspicions of some persons either in the upstream or let's see actions taken, not just calling for a reversal of the price, because we don't know how you want the prices to be reversed.
Absolutely. Let's see tangible actions taken.
Tangible action must be taken. And it is all fake news. Akpabio debunks impeachment rumor. Others probe. And a rumor unacceptable. FG meets NLC and TUC over fuel price hike. FG made federal government meets NLC and TUC over fuel hike price. That's the big story. You can catch up, and of course I'll get to know more on that. Is where you can get the papers and have more details. But on the subsequent bulletin for today, we'll be having all of that interactions and advancing the conversation from the newspaper this morning. How about you, Queen?
Let's look at the Nation newspaper. The big story on the Nation newspaper says, federal government offers 10 billion naira calm loan to facilitate CNG conversion. And we have a story above the headline that says, Labour leaders, federal government meets in continuous engagement. Also, minimum wage. Lagos fixes 85,000 naira as minimum wage, and Delta 77,500 naira. Edo governor elect raises the alarm over looting of government funds and assets. Oil magnate sues EFCC for unlawfully declaring him wanted. And also we also have stories around 100 Jigawa tanker explosion and victims buried already. Tinubu, governors and others mourn horrific tragedy. This is really very tragic. The 100 people who have died as a result of this tanker explosion. Customs seizes 1.1 billion naira illicit drugs. You find that on page 5 of The Nation. Lastly, on The Nation newspaper, we have no leadership vacuum, says presidency. Okay, we have one more story that I didn't look at. Ondo 2024. It's writer there says, I will deliver more projects, says Ayedatiwa. And also, Makinde wrong, calling for Rex removal. Another writer there says, the governor spent 2.4 billion naira on meaningless projects. And then, Naut endorses governor and Senator Wu's votes. Right there, all of these are stories on the front page of The Nation newspaper. Over to you, Michael.
Just to react to that paper, we've seen Lagos State advancing to 85,000 naira and that of Delta State having 75,000 in terms of the minimum wage. Of course, that was always an argument that let states pay what they can. You know, if the federal government had 70,000 as the minimum, we've seen Lagos understanding that economically they're doing well than any other state, and that's the reason why they have to, pick up their own minimum wage at 85,000. It shows a signal that it's a committed government, and we give kudos to that. But away from just making that all of that public announcement and pronouncement, are the workers really feeling the impact of that? Can we begin to see the payment actualized? Is more than some months now the federal government had signed, the presidency had signed that, but we're still yet to find a lot of implementations. People are still worried about that because the prices of things have skyrocketed. The economy is getting worse every day, and there's a need to also address that issues of minimum wage. But away from the minimum wage, what happens to the unemployed statistics and the population that we have is still always a major concern, because we really have a long way to go, but as always, we begin somewhere. And let's get to the Nation newspaper this morning.
The This Day, I just took
the This Day newspaper, yes. On the This Day newspaper, presidency, no vacuum in leadership, even has Tinubu Shettima out of the country. That's coming from the presidency. No vacuum in leadership, even has Tinubu Shettima out of the country. A writer says all state organs functioning as expected. Vice President begins two-day working visit to Sweden to strengthen ties with Nigeria. That's it coming from the presidency in reacting to the rumors of the president absence from the president have been aware of the country and the vice president also out of the country. What happens? Was there communication to the National Assembly and all of that? As I said, it's all for the good of Nigeria, and there is no need to, for all of that panic. Everyone should be calm. And the presidency are working, and all organs of government as well are working. I have absolute confidence in judiciary. Igadere declares over petition in Edo poll. And as the PDP candidate from Edo election does, reiterating his confidence in the judiciary. So those that feel the court may not be able to do the job, that's coming from the governorship candidate of Edo State, who has reassured that he really have an absolute confidence in the judiciary against the petition tribunal, and of course the moves to get to the mandate and all of that. A big story from This Day newspaper, FG orders probe as 107 perish and 50 injured in petrol tanker crash in Jigawa State. That's it, still from the This Day. And Cardoso turning inflation is key priority. Nigeria's staff decisions for growth. That's coming from Diamond. Right out to that story, big story right there, says Shettima FG to adopt economic summit recommendations to drive reforms. Tinubu halted economic decline, Badogo argues. World Bank's chief economist says failure of Tinubu's policy will set back reforms in Africa. Opines nation's economy at a turning point. Economy issues of economy is still on. World Bank recommendations, IMF reactions, and stakeholders are still reacting to the economy. Against the Tinubu's policy and the federal government policy, there are a lot of policies floating on the naira, removal of the subsidy and all of that, taxations, the VAT increase and all of that, a concern on electricity. All of these are sometimes policies that are really affecting the economy and the purchasing power of many Nigerians. But in all of these reality, there are those that feel that the policy is for good. And there are projection to these issues, and that's the reason why we're having World Bank saying that failure of Tinubu's policy will set back reforms in Africa. It means that we don't have to fail for what we are already in. We must succeed in all of these. These are the projections and the warnings that are earlier been centered by the World Bank. And Akpabio and senators after plenary amidst impeachment saga. It looked like all is not really well from the National Assembly. It concerned the move there, but the National Assembly, through the Senate President yesterday, had debunked the issues of DSS presence from in the National Assembly in terms of besieging that and move for his impeachment. All of that is still the political tension from the National Assembly in respect to the Senate presidency right there as the chairman of the National Assembly. That's it on this day newspaper. A whole lot of couple of reactions. We'll get to further these talks from the paper subsequently. Over to you, Queen.
Yes, now let's look at Daily Trust for you, the Daily Trust newspaper. Big story right there says, Jigawa tanker inferno. Grieving families recount incidents as over 120 people have been buried. I lost 4 children. The writer there says that should be from one of the parents. 5 Almajiri policemen among victims. NMA, that's the National Emergencies. NMA urges members to offer help. Tinubu governors, speaker, orders mourn. That's a sad one there on the papers. Senate investigates alleged plot to impeach Akpabio. And then we have reps to Tinubu transmit 2025 budget to NAS without further delay to the National Assembly. Lawmakers demand reversal of petrol price hike. Shetima heads for Sweden as Nigerians await Tinubu's return. And then we have federal government deploys satellites to monitor terrorists and bandits. Sokoto begins sale of subsidized rice at 38,700 naira per kg. Per bag, I beg your pardon. And lastly, Lagos announces 85,000 naira minimum wage for workers. A couple of stories right there I want to react to. First of all, Lagos State topping the charts as Lagos State, the commercial hub of Africa, and doing their bit to ensure that there's difference from the rest of the other states, and doing 85,000 naira minimum wage. Also, which is